we go to Elkton, Virginia. This is Daryl. Great to have you with us, sir. Hello.
Hello, Rush. Thanks for taking my call. I was wanting to get your take on Ted Cruz's coming out supporting the Republican nominee, and his said he would vote for Donald Trump. I heard him on Beck this morning, and it got pretty contentious with Beck, and Beck pretty much said that it was a calculated decision. What's your take on it?
Well, of course it was calculated. Is it bother you that it was calculated?
No, not at all.
So you don't have a problem with him endorsing Trump?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Yeah, this is... I think Ted Cruz is a great conservative. I always have. And I think he's trustworthy with conservatism. This was not handled well. My take on this, I couldn't believe that he didn't understand. I'm not comfortable putting it that way, because I don't think he's dumb. Okay, Trump offers you a prime time slot at the convention. You have to figure, if you're Ted Cruz, that offer means that there's an expectation that you're going to join the party, that you're going to endorse. And if you don't endorse, you're at least going to say you support, that you're going to vote for the nominee. But I think it was a miscalculation to think that he could go to the convention and stand on principle, as he was trying to do, and not endorse. Because you need to talk about the calculation. The calculation that he was making was to stay true and loyal to the conservative base for his future. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's what politics is. He wants to run again. He's Mr. Conservative, and he wants to maintain his credibility. And he decided that endorsing Trump at Trump's convention would not be appreciated by the conservative base. And I think he thought he would have many more accolades doing what he did than what he ended up getting. I think he got the exact opposite of what he was expecting to get. So I think that was a miscalculation, because he ended up, I mean, after all, this is about winning the White House now, not in 2020. It's about winning it now. It's for a host of reasons. Chief among them is keeping Hillary out of it. And doing it the way Ted did, he managed to upset some clearly conservative donors, and he got a lot of Trump people mad at him. And if he was going to endorse Trump anyway, as he did, then what he did at the convention wasn't necessary. He could have avoided all of that. Now, it's easy to look back in hindsight and be critical, but he could have, if he was going to endorse anything, if he knew he was going to endorse anyway. And at some point, he's still a Republican, whether he's estranged from the Republican leadership or thinking conservatism is a branch of the party. Still, at election time, you come together. But this has a lot of moving parts. It's not just that simple. But I hear the ear-splitting tone. Well, one more thing on the Ted Cruz situation. In the way things turned out, Ted Cruz ended up being, for some, I don't know how many, but for some, the last great hope of conservatism. There are many out there who believe that other conservatives watered themselves down, diluted their effectiveness by supporting Trump or by not opposing Trump. And in the process, I think Ted Cruz believed, and considered, maybe calculated, that he was indeed the last viable remaining conservative in the elected political realm. And because of that, thought that if he maintained his principles and steadfastly refused to support Trump for principled reasons, plus the continuing honoring of his father and others, his wife, who'd come under criticism, or defamation, as Cruz saw it, that this would redound to his benefit, to the rock-solid conservative movement in the country. But if he knew all along that he was going to endorse Trump, then the play he made at the convention by saying vote your conscience and having that interpreted as vote against Trump or don't vote Trump, or however it was interpreted, he went through a bunch of things that turned out to be not necessary to go through. Either don't go. If you're not going to endorse don't go. That was not the place to make a principled stand. Not the Republican convention, when at that point in time, the enemy is Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump has ceased being the enemy at that point, except to, some conservative organizations and so forth. But in terms of the vast majority of American people are not in the conservative movement. Wish it were otherwise. There are a lot of conservatives, don't misunderstand, but the conservative movement and the people who think they define what that is, it's not a majority club. Wish that it was, but it isn't. And at the convention, the focus obviously had become on beating Hillary Clinton, and Trump was the vessel for that. And a lot of people were unhappy with it, obviously so. Ted tried to establish his principal bona fides there. And now he's got people questioning whether he is principled. And I think it's unfortunate. Some of the reaction that he's gotten is, oh my God, we don't have anybody now. Oh my God, Ted, we lost Ted. I gotta really oh no, what? And it's not that dire. It isn't that dire at all. Except to some it is. But I don't believe that it is. But anyway, I don't want to get too far in the weeds on that. That's another subject. As far as Ted Cruz is concerned, I have no question about his conservative credentials, bona fides, commitment, principles, any of that. I just think he made an error in his political calculation over how to deal with things at that convention. If he wasn't going to endorse, I think it would have been better not to go. Pure and simple. Especially if I don't know what he knew then. I don't know if that night that he spoke, if he knew that he eventually was going to endorse Trump or not. But if he did, if he knew that eventually he was going to have to, and look, he's still a Republican. There are still demands on Republicans.